Hello, I'm Richard, and I am going to start a short series on product targeting. So I call it competitor targeting or brand offense targeting. Um, there's a lot of ways to go about it. I don't know that I've seen anybody really articulate a good strategy for going about it. There's a couple of people on Twitter that I see, particularly the one of the Simple Modern guys has a really good competitor targeting strategy. That I like to try to emulate, even though I don't know the ins and outs. But from a build standpoint and kind of the structures meaning campaign types and sort of the settings that you use inside of a campaign, I thought I'd make a few videos on each of those structures. So the first one I'm going to start with is auto campaigns and using auto campaigns for product targeting or competitor targeting. It is not a huge part of my strategy at the moment just because it is not very specific or targeted. I used to use it a lot in the past when I didn't think it was as necessary, and it really wasn't as necessary to be hyper targeted with your competitor targeting. But now I kind of have shifted away from using auto campaigns, but I still wanted to show it as kind of the first step because if you're building new campaigns or you have a new product to launch, this is a pretty good way at a low cost to do some product targeting. But it's very indirect and, like I said, not very targeted or specific. So the way you do that is pretty simple. You would create a sponsored products campaign, which hopefully you're familiar with. And you put your title in and you add your product, but you keep obviously automatic targeting. As far as setting your bids, you can set a default bid. You don't necessarily need to allocate to one match type or another. It's probably best to just kind of let those cards fall wherever they fall, and then bid adjust for each one accordingly. And then as far as negative keywords go, this is, again, where you probably will want to add like negative phrase match for certain keywords, keywords that you wouldn't even think are a good idea to add. For example, if you're selling a multivitamin supplement or a dog food or something like that, you might want to actually use the negative phrase of supplement or multivitamin or dog food. And the reason you would do that is simply because these campaigns have a tendency to reach get impressions on search terms, and what you're really trying to do is isolate your impressions to ASINs or to product pages. So if you add a negative phrase of a keyword that is likely to get a lot of volume, of like a base phrase meaning multivitamin or supplement or dog food, if you add a negative phrase match for that, what you avoid is getting impressions on a lot of those search terms, which would otherwise derail the intent of the campaign, which is to do product targeting. So that stuff is pretty simple, that little setup. You can do the same with negative product targeting, but you probably at the outset don't have a lot of negative products to add. This is really where the details are. Firstly, you want to choose dynamic bids down only or fixed bids, just because bids up and down is not going to be very profitable for you, and there's no real sense in doing unprofitable advertising. You can get all kinds of opinions about that, but at the end of the day, if it's not profitable, then you're not profitable. So don't do unprofitable advertising. That's my soapbox on that. And then this part is really simple. You basically are going to adjust for product pages specifically, right? That is the simple version. Now, where this is important is you need to take into account what kind of cost per click you need to be profitable on product pages and at the rate that they convert, which is generally less than, say, top of search. And so what you want to do is actually you want to set a low bid in this column, and for now you can probably just set to default bid and do something like 20 cents. Okay, you want to set a very low bid there, because what that will do is it will avoid getting many, if any, top of search or rest of search impressions. And so it will do a good job isolating those impressions to product pages, which is what you want to do with this type of targeting using an auto campaign. And then you set your adjustment to whatever that cost per click would be. So 100% adjustment, if our bid is 20 cents, is going to be 40 cent bid, max bid on that placement. If you want to be bidding something like $1 or $1.50 or $2 or something like that, obviously you need to set your base bid, which is this right here. That's your base bid. You need to set that bid somewhere so it gets very few clicks at rest of search and top of search. And you want to set it at as high as you can and still avoid those placements. And the reason you want to do that is because I've just found that you tend to get more impressions if that base bid is a little bit higher, and you're using less of an adjustment. But you want it to be low enough to where you're not wasting any money really in those other placements. So you kind of have to find that line where you are maximizing your base bid and then dialing in your adjustment and basically just optimizing your adjustment as opposed to optimizing your bid. But you want that base bid to be low enough that you don't get many, if any, impressions on search terms or like top of search or something like that. So in this case, it would be 40 cents with a 20 cent base bid. But if I wanted something higher, obviously I can change this adjustment up to $9.99. That's the highest you can go, basically. So if that doesn't do it, then you need to raise your base bid. And that can be a little tricky, take some time to figure out, but that's basically how you isolate product pages and create a product targeting auto campaign. And then as far as using dynamic bids down only or fixed bids, it's really up to you. If you really want to get things started out and see what's out there, get some clicks and see what they're going to cost and that type of thing, you can start with fixed bids. But in general, it's a good idea to just go to dynamic bids down only, because it just saves you some money in the long run. Done a lot of data analysis, and as much as I like fixed bids because you can control what you're spending very specifically, I have found that dynamic bids down only does end up producing a little bit more profitable advertising overall. So eventually you will want to switch this to dynamic bids down only, but I do think at the outset, at launch, using fixed bids is a good way to get it kicked off and kind of force it to get impressions and get you some data. And that's really it. You don't have to get it more complicated than that with the auto campaign product targeting. So hopefully that was helpful. And if you use this strategy, let me know. And if you have any questions, obviously you can leave a comment. And if you need help with your advertising, don't hesitate to reach out and get in touch with me through the comments or through YouTube or through the website, which is in the description below.